Well, we're back.
Finally.
Finally, we're back. I will say it's a little bit interesting. Look at where we are.
I know. It's crazy. It's way different.
It is way different. Skylar,
Hey, first episode for me. I'm really excited.
guess who's back? Oh, no, I guess it's your first time. You're
This
right.
is
You
my
did
first
just say
time.
that. I tried making an Eminem joke and it didn't work.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
That's all right. Well, I'm glad to see you back.
Not me though.
I was looking at Shaley, just
Okay,
looking at you.
sorry.
Glad to be back.
Okay. Well, we're glad to be back, right? That's very true. Well, like you said, we're not on the couch. So where are we?
We are at the Big Pink Huddle in Plattsburg, Missouri. This is the first time they're putting on the Big Pink Huddle, so it's really cool to kind of see how it all went. It went amazing. I had a great day.
It did. Skylar, this is kind of one of your first, right? And I could be wrong here, but you're one of your first Kansas City Fashion Week events, not Kansas City Fashion Week.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it was really interesting. Like, it felt really empowering because it was, like, focusing on women and, like, just empowering women. And, like, I don't know. I feel like I came out of it just, I don't know the word to use, like, feeling better about myself in a way, like, more empowered. And, like, yes, I'm so happy to be a woman.
What about you, Shaley? How do you think it went?
I think it went really great. I really loved the fashion show at the end. I think that was a great way to end it all out. It was so cool to see all of the local boutiques because it's definitely different than what you see on the Kansas City Fashion Week runway or what you would see on a New York runway or any other place. Like, we're talking about rural Missouri here, and they showed out. Like, they did the thing, so it was great.
Yeah, it was great. Well, and the models, none of them had ever tried out before. And I think that was something that was great. I mean, I don't know how many people you guys had come up to you, but I had quite a few individuals come up to me and they're like, how can we get involved? How can we get involved? And it's like, for me, I'm in northern Kansas City and it's a 40-minute drive for me. So like, they know, like, they're dedicating time to have to actually come down. But I think that speaks to us and our outreach. And I was glad to see you guys here. It's definitely something that, being the director of outreach, it's like, these are the things that I should be going to. But this is the support that we talked about in the first episode, and the support that we continue to see is you guys jumping in and everyone else jumping in saying, like, we're doing this. This is about the region, and this is about bringing people home to Kansas City Fashion Week.
Right, exactly. And people were so receptive and excited. I had people saying they just moved out here from out of state, so they're excited to find out what the fashion scene is like in Kansas City. And I had people of all ages asking me about volunteering and modeling from 5 years old to 80 years old. So, like, it's just so cool to see how excited everybody was about Kansas City fashion.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we got a lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I saved those chips for later.
Yeah, a little backstory is I can't have certain things right now, so I wound up giving my cookie and sandwich away. But I got an apple in return, so.
Yeah, and it flew on me. Your apple flew on me.
Do you like you're going to have to go home and shower afterwards?
I think I'll be fine.
It's apple juice.
Yeah.
Skylar was definitely in the splash zone today.
She was. She was. Well, I mean, what's going on in your guys' life? I mean, ultimately, every time we sit down and we have an episode, we're kind of talking about our guest and we're talking about, what's going on in the Fashion Week realm. But this is also a platform for us. So, like, what's going on in your guys' life? Anything you want to share?
I'm wrapping up my junior year at Mizzou, and right after finals week starts, we're going to New York City with the textiles department, and we're going to be going to all of these different designers and fashion brands, fashion like marketers, all these different fashion industry firms in New York City, and that's like 2 weeks away, so I'm so excited. I already ordered all my outfits.
You're counting down the time.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting ready to graduate high school.
Yay!
I'm so excited. Like, I don't know, I have like 11 or 10 school days left, I think.
Wow.
And I just cannot wait, and just preparing to go to college. So, yeah, that's it for the most part. And I'm going to Greece.
Wow, when?
Yeah, I heard about that. You don't want to go on the cruise because she's going to Greece.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going at the end of May, so I have to start shopping because I haven't bought anything for that trip. You know, I need to give cute looks, like be on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Serving.
And this is what I have to put up with. Santos is going nowhere because I'm just not going anywhere. I don't even think I'm traveling or set to travel until the cruise. So kind of a bozo life right now, not going to lie.
You're doing things.
I'm doing things in the
Mr.
area.
Keynote Speaker.
Okay, there was that. Yeah, so I got up there, a little backstory before Lisa hops on here with us. But I got up there and I had this entire plan. Like, this is what I'm going to say. This is how I'm going to say it. I'm doing this. And I got up there and I was like, if I got up here and said what I was going to say, I'd be completely out of touch. Like, the room just wouldn't read me, and that's just it. It wouldn't have been a productive speech. But I'm super honored. When and we'll cover this a little bit when Lisa hops on here, but it was great. It was great when they reached out to us and they were like, Kansas City Fashion Week, we see that you're doing stuff. They see that I'm involved with boutiques. And that's kind of how I fell into this, really. It was kind of pure luck. We were just at the same boutique at the same time and heard them talking about it, and we hit it off, and somehow I was a keynote speaker at a female empowerment. And I'm not saying that like as a downgrade on me, but that was cool. And it was empowering. It was inspiring, and I really loved hearing both of the other two keynote speakers, because really the other component of is like, regardless of where you are, female, male, whatever, right? Race, location, geographic location, like, you can take something away from everything that was said today. And that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to see what Lisa has to say, because I don't even really know. I got asked to do this, but I don't know how this all started. So
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear, like, what made you guys do this?
Yeah,
You guys ready?
I'm really excited to meet her finally, and I just want to learn more about local Missouri everything.
Yeah. So, well, before we end this, how was the 5.5-hour trip up here? It seemed like, was it forever?
Goodness. So I live in Columbia, which is 2.5 hours from here. Luckily, my mom was nice enough to drive me all the way out here. We made it with just one ticket on the highway, but
Oh, goodness.
sometimes it happens, so you can't really get around that. Just 2.5 hours plus 15 extra for the violation.
Oh, my gosh.
And then, we made it here, so what can I say?
When you text me, I thought it was Smithville, because, like, Smithville, and all due respect, one of my best friends works for Smithville PD. They pull people over like no one else.
Yeah.
That's just, they do.
Yeah, when you texted that, it was like right as I was about to go through Smithville, because
So you slowed down.
There were signs coming up like Smithville, and I was like, oh, I just got this text about her possibly being pulled over there or something by Santos, so I better slow down, because we know the cops have a thing for me.
Oh my gosh. Well, there it is. It's out.
Don't worry, guys. It's okay. I've never got a ticket, though.
Yeah. They just love seeing you with the flashing lights.
Yeah. My mom's going to see this and find out that I get pulled over quite a bit. So, you're welcome, Mom.
Oh, that's so sweet. Mother's Day's coming up and you get to hear that. Love that. Well, unless there's anything else, I say we just jump right into the interview with Lisa and see what she has to say.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Alrighty, so we are back with Lisa, and as promised, we're going to do a deep dive into the Big Pink Huddle. So first of all, we'd like to say on behalf of Kansas City Fashion Week, on behalf of the Fashion Hive podcast, thank you for giving us this opportunity to attend the first annual event. And really, I guess we'll start with any kind of questions or anything that the girls had. I'll tell you what, we were talking about it in the intro. We all felt empowered. It was a great event.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. Well, thank you for being here. And I can tell you right now, we had such an amazing day, and we're looking forward to discussing it with you guys and kind of diving in and talking about next year. And let's go.
So first, why don't you just tell us and our audience, what was the purpose of this event? Like, what is it for, and what does it do for people?
So our overall objective in bringing this event together was, we live in a small community. We neighbor a lot of small communities, and there are a lot of topics that little girls and females in general don't really get to talk about in school. We've got some social things going on in society right now, and we just wanted to build an event to where we could provide resources to young ladies and older ladies as well that could make them feel empowered, that they have a voice, that they can have careers, they can do so many things that maybe in the past they may not have been exposed to, or they don't have the opportunity for. And it's an automatic lead-in for us to include fashion, because I think there are ways that both genders tend to empower themselves, and fashion can play a role outside of any other resource. And when you feel and you have fashion in your life, you are empowered. You walk around with a certain type of hair, and you can express yourself through fashion instead of bullying, being the mean guys. And we learned it today. We had so much fun. So we are looking forward to partnering with KC Fashion Week, because we have a voice, and we're going to use it, and fashion is going to be parallel to that. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things that Skylar was talking about, and I don't want to steal it, so I might, hit it on over to you, but, one of the things that you talked about, like you said, like you took something away from this, like you felt just better. Walk us through that, like with some of the breakouts and the keynote speakers that you felt really highlighted what made this a successful event from someone who was attending.
Mm-hmm. Well, like just sitting there and listening to people talk, like the different speakers talk, especially, I can't remember her name, but the first lady who spoke, yes, I really loved her and everything that she had to say. Like, it just made me feel so empowered and like proud to be a woman. Like, I don't even know how to describe all of it. It was just so amazing to listen to her talk. Like, there were just so many points that she was hitting while speaking to everyone, and it really took me back.
See, then we mission accomplished.
Yes.
It was perfect. And that's kind of what it's what we wanted to accomplish. And every year and every event, we're going to get better and better, and we're going to bring in speakers and keynote speakers and breakout speakers that can really touch upon those things that, like you said, that will really, really relate to you. Mm-hmm. And if we can relate to one person, then we've done our job. But I know we related to a lot today.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the planning process, I mean, you're in Plattsburg, Missouri, and I mean that with no disrespect to any rural community anywhere in the United States. That's a challenge. I mean, that's a challenge because you had to go outside of just your town to bring in boutiques, to bring in vendors, to bring in sponsors. Did you struggle with any of that, or was that something that you feel made you guys as a team better?
We did struggle with that. We actually, to give you an example, our senior class only had 32 kids in it.
Wow.
And that is that's a perfect example of some of these outlying communities. But that being said, we felt as though our purpose was a catalyst to have people share that message and objective for our event. So it just kind of, after a couple weeks, it just kind of grew legs. And once folks started finding out actually what kind of resources and tools and people they were going to be listening to, it just grew. I think our record day was we sold over 75 tickets in the course of 24 hours, and
That's
that
awesome.
was basically two weeks before today. So we are so incredibly blessed. And then this has a different purpose and a different message than some of the other events. Whether you're in the city or you are in these outlying, this is truly where it's a safe place for all girls. We had girls as young as 7 here actually listening to the breakouts. Mm-hmm. So to hear what they heard today, and their grandmothers, we had grandmothers who brought their 12-year-old granddaughters, and so that generational gap there was really, really good to see. But it grew legs, so we're looking forward to next year.
Yeah, so are we. I have the date on my calendar already.
There you go. There you go.
I keep saying we need to get Shaley as one of the keynote speakers, so I'm pulling for Shaley to be up next.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna we can. Yeah. Yes.
Well, one of the things that I think sets your guys' event apart from other events, like you said, is it is an outlying area. But the other component to it, I think, is you really hit on the fact that regardless of age, this is an event that you can come to. And we see other events, not bashing them, that they focus on, this is for teenagers, this is for seniors, this is for, middle-aged, whatever. How did you guys come to that conclusion that this is going to be for everyone?
Well, it's hard for us to sit back and try to guess what someone's home life is like or who they had as role models. And part of our objective in this event was we're not going to assume who those people are. And sometimes, you can skip generations, and you may have a grandmother that was a huge influence in, steaming ways for everyone. And then, maybe for some reason, whether, we've got a battered mom or somebody like that, where maybe, you need to educate up to where truly a little girl that's going through some personal life crisis, maybe this was her catalyst and platform to be able to bring her mom in and bring grandma in and just kind of bring everybody together. And once they saw our list of speakers and breakouts, we knew that our one of our goals needed to be we could relate to everyone at any age, regardless of what they're going through. And we are proud to say, we hit on that today. So we're looking for keynotes and stuff. So come on, bring it.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I was going to say, I came with my mom today, and I loved being just in the room surrounded by women ages 5 to 95. Like, it was, like, there's so much you learn from other generations than your own. There was a group of really young kids at the table next to me, a few young girls and young boys, and they were so engaged and participating and loving every second of it, all the breakout sessions. And I loved the breakout sessions too, because they were basic but important. Like the most basic fundamental things to feeling good about yourself, like exercise, self-care, volunteering. Like, those are all so important to making you feel good every day at any age. So you did a great job at, marketing to everybody. Like, it appealed to everyone, and I think everybody here took something from this today.
You bring up a very good point, and that is bringing it back to the fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
Having all different ages participate in something like this, there are some generational gaps. We have technology differences. We have social media out there, and sometimes not everybody in your family can relate to every one of those levels, but it was really nice. But bringing it back to the fundamentals and really focusing it back inwards was something we were able to do today. So I was really happy to see the smiles on some faces when we actually gave them permission today to take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. And that was a big, big message today. And you kind of felt the room swell up when, like Lavelle, she was talking about the movie The Help, when she was talking about the little girl that where she was important. And I did feel that today. Mm-hmm. And then everybody kind of let a breath out, and everybody just became one. And it was, I'm telling you, I had goosebumps several times throughout this thing. So it was nice, very nice.
That's awesome. One of the other things that I really wanted to, ask you, and I've been waiting to ask you this, asking the team, when this first came to fruition, obviously you have a mission statement. You obviously had a reason as to, this is how it was going to go. This is how we'd like it to go. But you personally, what does this mean to you? Not to the committee, not to you as a business owner here in Plattsburg, but to you.
Wow. Don't put me on the spot or anything. Let's see. Well, first of all, I have 4 daughters of my own. I have those daughters. I was a single mom for several years. I raised very independent girls, and sometimes they were looked at as being a little too aggressive, but I was actually raising leaders, and I'm very proud of that. And I wanted to make sure that I represented the daughters that I'm raising. And I have 2 granddaughters that are under the age of 5 right now, but my daughters aren't raising those girls in a world where I raised my daughters. And it's important that in small towns we expose and provide resources for my girls to be able to succeed and thrive and not be considering some of these alternative ways of decompressing and things like that that we have in society now. So it was really important to me. I have 3 businesses here in this small town, and I see it day in and day out. Little girls that feel like they don't have a voice, regardless of their economic situation or their family life. And it's one of my personal goals. It's just the cloth I'm cut from. Is that you're important. You are important, and don't let anybody take that from you. Yeah. So this was kind of my platform as well. So I that's one of the reasons why I decided that I was going to help take on this initiative. But it took a village. Okay, It took a village.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So from the beginning of this event, planning and everything, like, what is like the first step? Like, how do you even okay, like, this is, we have an idea, but like, how are we going to execute it? Like, what was that first thing to get the ball rolling?
Well, I think it's important with any event, but especially in an event where you're going to be front and center and you are going to be influencing people. And I'm going to go back to little girls, but you need to determine what your overall objective is. You need to truly look not in yourself personally, but what your community needs, what society you may be able to benefit society with, but you have to determine what your objective is. And when someone walks away from your event, what do you want them to get from it? What do you want them to learn about themselves? What do you want new education? And you can't pull something like this off on your own. I mean, you got to have a committee and you got to have a village, but it takes commitment from every single person on that committee to not waver. Do not waver from those objectives, because when you have an event and you kind of know where you're going to go with it, once you start wavering, you have totally diluted the objective for anything. So that was the first thing. And once we decided what we wanted everyone to get out of it and what objectives, then we just divided and conquered. And once the word got out and everybody's like, oh my gosh, did you hear about this Big Pink Huddle, what they're doing? We had people come to us and say, you know what, I'd like to be a part of this. You know, I want to attach myself to this initiative that you guys have. And then we're like, well, what are we going to call this thing? And so we're like, oh boy, because people have asked us, where did you come up with the Big Pink Huddle? And so keeping in the objective of having an objective and not wavering from it, I'm like, well, let's put it into, because we are in Kansas City and they got them Chiefs. So we're like, when you go out and you play a sport or you're involved in a group effort, where is it that everybody gathers together with one common goal? And it's in the huddle. Mm-hmm. So you're there with like-minded people with common goals and objectives, and you're all rowing in the same direction or throwing in the same direction. So we decided that we were going to call it the Big Pink Huddle, and the graphic itself, the illustrations in the graphic represent different cultures, and it just kind of took off. But and then from there, it was meetings after meetings and
late nights
and wrapping lunches and getting keynote speakers and things. And we put together the vendor fair downstairs because we had so many people that were interested in it, and we're like, why don't we have women-owned businesses come and represent as well? So that's it.
Speaking of our vendors and the fashion show at the end of the night, fashion does play a huge part in our everyday lives. And I think as women especially, it's a huge women-led industry. There's tons of women in the fashion industry. And, it's something that's important to everybody. I mean, there's nobody that can say that they don't care about fashion because they have to wear clothes every day. But in a more specific sense, how does fashion play a part in being a woman and women's empowerment?
For a lot of people, fashion is their identity. Not all women, and men at the same time. Not everybody is maybe as outgoing. Maybe they don't have the personality to where they can pick up the microphone and do a podcast, or put on an outfit and walk the runway. But I think that it provides a person an opportunity to kind of, in the beginning, hide behind something and once they feel comfortable and see and feel the empowerment of what they're wearing and how they're wearing it and their whole experience in clothing that makes them feel good about themselves, it transforms them into somebody else. I saw it today. We had over 30 models, and there might have been one or two that had modeled before. Okay. But even they got nervous. And so everybody was downstairs, and we had little ones, and they were all really gun-ho when they were picking out their outfits. And then came the time. And then they started, getting all nervous and everything, and they all rallied around each other. Because what we did is we brought them up here to listen to the breakouts, because I wanted them to hear this self-care and empowering message before they actually went down and applied that to today's fashion show. So they had been up here listening, and then they went down and we got them ready, and then they were getting ready to line up, and then they got a little bit more nervous. And once they saw the first 2 or 3 go through, and they realized that we weren't throwing them out there to sink or swim, they just became so relaxed, and they started having fun. And we got through all of them. The music helped. Everybody loves to walk to music.
Yes.
So, yes, that was amazing. So we got them done. We took them back down, and I wanted to be the first one to make sure that they knew how good of a job they did. So we went down to the bridal suite here at the courtyard, and I walked in, and they were already high-fiving each other. They didn't know, most of them didn't know each other before today, and they were already high-fiving themselves, and I walked in, and that was another cold chill moment, and our mission was done. They were so proud of themselves and looking at each other, and I don't know who, but in the crowd you could hear, we did it. And I'm like, you did, every one of you.
Yep.
And it was amazing. So that was a reality moment for them, but myself as well, to validate the fact that fashion brought them out today. And they were completely comfortable with what they were wearing and owning it. We had different demographics, we had sports, we had all different kinds of clothes today. So it was amazing. It literally, I think they're hooked. I really think they're hooked. So I can tell you, I'm probably going to go back, and I'm going to have all these models now are signed up for next year. So another mission accomplished.
Yes.
I love that.
Well, and I think one of the other things, and Skylar and Shaley saw this at the end, we had our podcast table set up, and people didn't even know, nothing said Kansas City Fashion Week. And yes, I pointed the girls out when I gave my speech. But, they had people coming up, and I think Skylar was the one that had said in the intro, the amount of interest that we had was definitely something that it shows that we are more than just inside Kansas City. What would you say for individuals that didn't attend today's event and haven't maybe even attended a fashion event? What would your advice be to them?
Oh, just do it. Just raise your hand up and say, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what I'm going to wear, but I'm going to try it, because it is truly empowering.
Yeah.
There is nothing like walking a runway where you know nobody, and you're halfway down the runway or right around the next little arrow on the floor, and you own it. And it's so easy, but it just transforms you. It literally transforms. I saw girls today that a couple of them work in the boutique, and they don't come out and talk to people. They're just kind of shy. This is their first job. Oh, by the time we were back downstairs, they had more friends than they knew what to do with. So if you're thinking about it, if you're not thinking about it, if you've never even thought about it and you like clothes, just pick up the phone, send an email, reach out to someone. We have Google.
Yeah.
Just Google. Just Google and find somebody. And there are mentors all over the place. We found out, even going through this, planning this event, people were reaching out to us and said, I don't want to really model, I don't want to, but you know what, I'd love to help. I'd love to help. So use it. Go do it. It's fun.
Yeah. And that confidence is so contagious. Watching a model walk on the runway or around the luncheon area, seeing somebody walk with confidence, like you feel it. Like you like, oh, I can do that. Like, you know, like
And
I
you're
can put
cheering
on,
them on.
yeah.
You're literally, you want them to succeed just by watching them do what they do.
Right. And then it doesn't seem so scary anymore. It's like I can do that next time I go to work, you know? Like I'll put on an outfit I really like instead of something that, you know, meets my requirements, and I'll put something like I will put my best self out there and I'm going to feel better about it. Like it, oh my gosh, I love that so
Right.
much.
And it could change your mood. I mean, you know, and I've told my girl, and I do this too. You know, if I'm in a certain mood in the morning or whatever, I'm gonna pick up that red shirt and rock that red shirt because I don't ever wear that, and that's the mood I'm in, and I own it,
Yeah.
and it's amazing.
No, that's what I think is so amazing, like, about this fashion show, or, like, even Fashion Week, like, any fashion show, like, not only today was, like, they were showing their confidence, we were feeling their confidence, but they were also supporting one another, as you were talking about, which I think is also something amazing that really goes into the whole point of this event, like, women supporting women, girls supporting girls, like, building your confidence, feeling proud to be who you are, and I feel like that was really shown in the fashion show.
I agree, and you know, to that point, there was no competition today.
Yeah.
These girls weren't competing against each other, and regardless of what they were wearing or the conversations they were having downstairs, there was no competition, and they huddled around each other, and they were encouraging each other. They each knew who was more nervous than the other, and I can tell you, they had to talk me off the ledge a couple times.
So you had talked about like moving forward. What does moving forward look like for the Big Pink Huddle?
We might have to rent out some convention center. Staying true to our objectives, what we're going to start planning immediately is next year's event, which is going to be on April 27th.
April 27th,
April
2024. We
27th.
heard
That's
it right
right.
here.
That's right. It's official. We are going to start working on some keynote speakers, which we might have a couple here. And we are just going to, we did leave comment and survey cards on the table. And after walking around, I believe everybody filled those out, which is great.
That's
because we're only as good as the feedback that we get. And we are not meeting our objectives if people don't walk away feeling good about themselves. And we read every one of those. We plan on taking notice, but we're going to start planning next year's, and it's going to be bigger. It's going to be just as fun, if not funner, and maybe a few surprises we talked about. So I'll just leave that
Interesting.
teaser out there.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So
for
are we.
sure.
So are we.
So you had talked about you owning a business, and I don't want to get too far off the path here of the Big Pink Huddle. But I've also, speaking of teasers, I've talked to the girls a little bit, like get familiar with driving up here to Plattsburg because we're coming back, not only for next year's event, but for your business. So can you tell us a little bit about the TC? I'll let you unwrap that.
The TC. Yeah, so I do have a boutique here in town. It's called the Tin Cottage. We're kind of different than the other boutiques here in town that we don't have any handmade items. You know, we're more, we do shop the LA market, so we have a lot that shop the Nashville and the Dallas market, so our demographic is a little bit different as we do shop the LA market. But we have sip and shops every time we're open, because we say we have wine there.
Yeah.
And then we also, in the back of the boutique, is it's called Made on Main Street, and it's a paint-your-own pottery studio. So we have birthday parties, we have ladies' night out, we have different events there, but when you come into the boutique, you can also paint pottery.
Yeah.
We have a lot of female and women-themed items to where they can paint back there. We have a lot of little girl events throughout the year. And then I have, it's called The Backyard. So I am the only women-owned restaurant here in town, but we have an outdoor eating area that is open seasonal. We have a stationary food truck that's out there. We have lawn games. We have live music. And again, going back to my roots, you know, I grew up in Southwest Missouri. I'm redneck, not quite hillbilly. So, you know, one of my I was very, very privileged in the fact that I spent a lot of time in my backyard playing and out before, when it was safe to play in your backyards and things like that. And so I named it the Backyard because I just wanted to make sure that families felt at home and that they could go play outdoor games. So we're all connected. All my businesses are connected. So you can just go to one place and you can do whatever you want there, and everybody can hang out and we all make friends.
All of my favorite things in one spot.
Yeah.
There you go. What more do you need, right?
Yep. I'm gonna have us go over there later to take a sneak peek. But is there anything else that you guys have question-wise before we get off of here? Because it's kind of been, and not saying it like this, because you guys were at this way earlier than I was, but it's been a long day, and we're coming off the NFL draft here in Kansas City, so for some of us it was a drive, and so just to be conscious of everyone else's time, is there anything else that anyone else would like to add, or specifically that you would like to add? What we'll be sure to do is we'll be sure to add, your social medias, the date of the next one. All of that, on our socials, but we just want to make sure that there's nothing else that you want to cover.
Nope, only just thank you to everyone out there in fashion world. I'm telling you, just use what you have, empower yourself, and try to find more events like this. Oh, sorry. Try to find more events like this. They're out there. A lot of us here can steer you to those as well, but get out there and do it. Empower yourself. Self-care.
I just want to tell you how great of a job I think you did. I think this event was amazing. The second I got to the top of the stairs and I saw all the light, I'm just like, this is a beautiful place. This is, and everything's pink, which is my favorite color in the world. And I was like, this is so nice. It's so beautiful here, and there's so many great things to take away from it. So I had a great time today.
Thank you very much. So follow us, the Big Pink Huddle. Follow us on Facebook. We will be taking photos, stills, videos of today's events and then some of the events leading up to this event. So we're going to be putting some videos out there, a little teaser for next year.
Okay.
But please follow us. There's contact information on our Facebook page to reach out to any of us. And all you girls out there, ladies, you need anything, pick up the phone and call us, email the Big Pink Huddle. If we don't have the answers, we'll certainly find them for you. So thank you.
Well, and again, we're super thankful for you having us. I mean, we couldn't have, this is something that we literally, no pun intended, game planned that we were going to be here and that this was going to be May 3rd's, like this is how we're doing this. This is going to be our episode next Wednesday. So we're super thankful, or as you guys are seeing it, here,
right now.
Yeah. But, we did. We were very intentional as to how we did it. We were intentional because really of the direction and, like you said, the guidelines and the values that you wanted to instill. And we feel like, especially coming out of the NFL draft, there's a lot of maybe girls out there that feel that they don't have a spotlight, when some of these other players or some of these other, males have an opportunity to have a national spotlight.
They have a spotlight. We just got to find it for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do.
So, again, super thankful. And one of the things that I really wish we could turn the camera this way, but you're talking about the community, the village, the team, the early morning, late nights, quick lunches, and off on the other side, they're already meeting. They are. You guys are probably already chalking up what's next.
They don't get to go home till we finish that. So.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we might be holding up progress, which is twice for me today. So.
Thank you guys very, very much. We are so looking forward to partnering with you guys. So this is going to be great.
Yes.
We'll all huddle in next year.
There we go. April 27th, 2024.
You got it.
Well, you know where we will be April 27th, 2024. Come join us in Plattsburg, Missouri for the Big Pink Huddle second annual.
That's right.
Second annual, and we may see one of us keynote speaking. So
probably will.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you again for having us and hosting us. As always, check out all of our social medias. Skylar, Shaley, Lisa, there's the 10 Cottage, which we'll dive into on another episode. I've already talked to her about it. The Big Pink Huddle on Facebook. Find me on Instagram. As always, that's always linked below. Kansas City Fashion Week or KCFashionWeek.com. Shows coming up in September. I know it sounds like a faraway time, but before you know it, it'll be here. So we're already as a team counting down the days until we get to see you in Union Station again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To hear Santos's keynote speech at the Big Pink Huddle, continue listening.
I'd like to present Santos Arellano.
Well, thank you for the wonderful introduction. It's one of the few times that I've gotten my last name pronounced correctly. So, good afternoon. Like Sherry said, my name is Santos Arellano. I serve on the board for Kansas City Fashion Week. I'm the Strategic Partnership Coordinator and Director of Outreach. Really, that's just a bunch of jargon. It means that I get to go out in the community, meet with business owners, meet with designers, meet with models, and make sure that we're bringing the best people that we can into the Kansas City fashion region and bringing them back into the industry. So that's a little bit about Kansas City Fashion Week. We have several other Kansas City Fashion Week staff here today. So here, later on in my speech, I will have them raise their hands so you know who to come talk to if you have any questions about attending a show, volunteering, modeling, or becoming a designer. I'd like to thank the Community Betterment and Arts Council and the wonderful women sitting all the way in the back and throughout the room who've been working tirelessly to make this event happen. So let's give them a hand real quick. Second off, I would like to say, Lavelle, you are progressing amazingly, at least with social media, because within a couple of minutes of the Big Pink Huddle announcing I was going to be speaking, I had a friend request from Lavelle. So her book, her reading, all of that is paying off. It's also nice to hear that K9 Cedar is going to be here, so I'm not going to be the only token gentleman here today. So that makes two of us here. I'll take it. When I was first asked to speak at this event, I was absolutely nervous. I was nervous about it last night. I'm nervous about it right now. But going home that night after meeting with the committee, I was just driving home. It's about a 30-minute drive back to my place, and I was like, great, Santos, you've taken on another token role. Which I say that endearingly when you hear what I'm about to say. But flash forward a couple of weeks, and I'm chatting with my mom driving back from Kansas City Fashion Week designer interviews. And we were talking about how I got involved with Kansas City Fashion Week, where did I see myself here, and more importantly, where I saw myself going. And I will say that's something that my mom has definitely been a champion for me as of late in this new role that no one really ever saw me in. And the reason why I say that, at the end of the day, who sees a 22-year-old male leading a front, being a director on one of the top 5 biggest fashion shows in the nation. A lot of people don't know that Kansas City Fashion Week is a top 5 production when it comes to population of seats and in terms of our reach. And that has everything to do with the amazing team and ambassadors that we have. So it's not a token role with Kansas City Fashion Week. I was there for a reason. And Lavelle, you were talking about it earlier with where God puts you, putting your faith in God. It's definitely something that I personally believe. I've taken my token roles and I've said, they're not token roles. I'm going to go in and we're going to break the stereotypes. And I look across the room and I think, I can break stereotypes, but how many times have there been stereotypes against you? Because you are a female. Because you're wearing a skirt. I was just at the NFL draft experience. That was amazing. Glad to see that Kansas City brought that in. But I will say, just before that, there was an experience that I got to go to. It was the Tico Productions Fearless Leadership camp. And they had NFL executives, front office executives, and it was an all-female group of speakers talking about their roles. I met with the cultural affairs director with the Los Angeles Chargers, and she made her own role. She went into the owner's office, Dean Stanos, went into his office, sat down with him and said, this is what I want to do. 50% of the population in LA is female, and 75% of the population in LA and LA County is minority, so non-white. And that was huge for her. And 22 years ago, Dean said, yep, you're gonna do it, and 22 years later, she is now being the person that's going to be the, really the lighthouse of hope here in the I say hope, but hope and inspiring individuals here in the Kansas City area, and it's great to see that. I was thinking about the times that stereotypes have been broken and what that looks like. And I personally am I would say I'm a walking stereotype breaker, again, in the fashion industry, but especially with my upbringing of a more conservative background. But I will say one thing that stuck with me this entire time, that I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a speech. I'm gonna have to speak. So what does that look like? What is a time that I can think of that the stereotype was broken, and after the stereotype was broken, after something was done, that there was forever change? Because that's what it is. You can break a stereotype, and stereotypes can be broken, but it's even more important to sit back and say, what changed from that? What's different now because of that? And it goes back to when I was in 5th grade, racing out to recess, ready to play kickball, and we all lined up because we were ready to be drafted. And 2 male team captains, of course that's how it goes, right? And everyone's getting picked. It came down to it that there was one female left, one female classmate, and my friend Devin. And I remember being on the team, and my team captain literally looking down the line, looks at my female classmate and says, well, I drafted a team of all guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and take you. And I can't really put myself in her position to know what does that mean. Like, how did she feel in that moment? Like, was it like, oh, I'm included? Was it, I guess I was second to last, and because I was a female, I had to wait? I don't know, and I can only imagine what happened and what went through his mind when she said, went up, she was like, all right, I'm ready for this. She took the ball from his hands and said, I'm pitching. So she went over there and she just started doing her thing, and it was a close game, I'm sure. But I think the most impressive way is how she finished that game. And it's really even that it's not even that she finished it, she ended it. She was done. We all knew when she was done because the ball that she kicked went onto the roof. Home run, grand slam, whatever you want to call it, out of the park. And for those of you, you're like, okay, I mean, he's just making this up. Well, go to Platte County campus, go to the high school campus, there's a Paxton building, you'll see in the back, there's a big concrete lot where we used to play kickball, and it's doable. But none of the guys could ever do it, but she did that day. And guess who's gonna play kickball for the rest of the week? All of us, because we didn't get our ball back. So, like I said, I don't know if it was revenge. I don't even know if she was trying to kick it that hard. I don't know if it was the kickball gods that decided today is the day that she's getting picked first for the rest of her life. But she did. She got picked first every single time. And so, going back to that, I'm thinking, and again, my introduction talking about my role with Kansas City Fashion Week, I look over and I have 2 of my amazing podcast co-hosts who are younger than me, and they both are, and I say this respectfully, inexperienced when it comes to podcasting, editing, putting their face out there, being on a platform such as Kansas City Fashion Weeks. But it was important for me to make sure that we had an opportunity to give them a platform to grow, give them a platform to create name recognition, and we see that. And we see that in Kansas City Fashion Week. Shaley, one of my co-hosts here, one of her first big time experiences with Kansas City Fashion Week is that she had an article in the Kansas City Fashion Week magazine. So Kansas City Fashion Week is definitely an empowering and educating opportunity for females. Regardless, we have photographers here today. Like I said, we have several other staff members. So I say all of that because it is important. It is important that we empower. Like Corporal Poole was saying, it's important that we educate. And I think back to my time growing up. I grew up in a divided household, not divided in the sense of like one family member liked K-State and the other family liked KU, but in the sense of my parents were divorced. And so my dad was doing everything he needed to take care of me. My mom was fighting her own personal struggle. And so I was raised by my grandmother. And for that reason, I definitely have a lot of different life perspectives because at, 5, 6, 7 years old, you're getting raised by a 72-year-old. And there's nothing wrong with that. So let me say that. But my point is my upbringing is a lot different than some of my other friends and really a lot of my peers because they grew up in households that they didn't ever want, they didn't ever need, they didn't know, they never had to question the next time they were going to see one of their parents. And I don't say that, I have amazing relations with my parents now, but growing up it was definitely a different experience. And for that, does that hinder where we are? Does that hinder where we can go? Our upbringing? Does that change like, well, I grew up in a divided house, so I'm just gonna forever grow up in chaos. I'm gonna live in chaos for the rest of my life. I'm never going to know what it's like to have consistency. No, we can change that. You guys can change that. So as we're talking about token roles, or talking about stereotypes, or talking about how we are to interact when we're put in situations, just because that situation is there and its current state doesn't mean it can't change. And that was one of the things that I took away from the Fearless Leader experience, was when Liliana Perez, again from the San Diego Chargers, stood up and said, a closed door doesn't mean it's locked. A closed door doesn't mean it's locked. Think about that. Just because it's closed doesn't mean that you're never getting in. Did you try the handle? Did you do something different? Did you not? Maybe they're going to open it. And that's something that I think that we all should take away, is just because a certain situation and certain circumstances that we're in doesn't have to define who we are. Again, growing up with my grandmother, I was around her siblings, so again, 70 to 80-year-olds. And I used to hear their stories, their personal struggles, combating racism in Topeka, Kansas, not letting colored individuals ride the elevator because they were different. All of my grandma and all of my great aunts, her sisters, all walked out of that hotel that night. They quit. Because if someone is not good enough to go up an elevator, then I'm not good enough to work here, is their reasoning. And that was empowering to me. Because that's grit, that's perseverance, that was their livelihood, that was how they made money. And they said, I am fine with not getting paid if it means I'm standing for my values. They could have played the victim card. They didn't. They let that be a reason why they do what they do. And for that, I was taught leadership and love from those individuals, empowering, and always making sure that you're standing up for those that don't have necessarily a voice or a platform. I remember growing up in Topeka, the time that I had spending summers with my grandmother. We would go work at, I would go with her to KNI, Kansas Neurological Institute, and that was working with individuals that had severe disabilities. Their parents had put them in this home, and they were wheelchair bound, nonverbal, they couldn't do anything for themselves. But my grandma and all of her siblings made it a point that was their place of work. They're all recognized. You can go find an article on them online. But it's something that, again, you have to be there for someone who doesn't have a voice. And maybe that person's you. Maybe that person is you that doesn't have a voice. So how can you find deep down inside yourself to say, it's time for me to have a voice. It's time for me at 60 or 16 or 50 or 12 or whatever that looks like, for you to have a voice. For you to step up and say, my circumstances aren't going to stay the same. I struggle with analysis paralysis. And by that, I'll sit here and think about what I'm going to do. And so instead of thinking, or instead of doing, I'm thinking. And I'll sit here, and I'll sit here, and I'll sit here. And instead, in the past couple of months, maybe even in the last year, I'd say that I've started working and failing, working and failing, working and failing. And I'm sure a lot of you know this, but I say this to really grasp the models that are here, to grasp the younger individuals that are here. It's okay to mess up. It is okay to mess up. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to not know. But let all of those be learning opportunities. Lavelle was talking about it. She could just say, I don't know technology. Guys, that's it. I'm good. I don't know it, right? She could have said that. But she didn't. And I got a friend request because of it. I'm still stuck on that. I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on that. Hey, you get it. Now, if we see Twitter, watch out. But I will say, it is great to see you all here today. The models, the designers, the boutiques, the vendors downstairs. It's great to see that. This is the community we need. This is the community you guys need. Lavelle was talking about creating how things are going to change. My call to action to you is find someone today that you don't know and talk to them. Build a relationship with them. I can think of several people in this room who have had a huge impact in my life. With that, Shaley Harper, she is one of my fashion co-hosts. She's great. She's the reason why you see our podcast at 8 o'clock every Wednesday morning, because she puts in the the hard work and long hours to make sure it gets done. Faith Shaw, the Tinky Rooster boutique owner. Lily Shaw, the executive assistant and front office manager at JFR Enterprises. 22 years old as well, she has made her own role within this company, and she is leading almost 2 communities now in outreach for betterment of the communities in Clinton and Caldwell, so it's nice to see that. Laura Evans, you want to talk about someone who is so instrumental with youth, between 4-H and Missouri Extensions. Laura, and it was funny, the first time I met with the committee, I met with Jan, and Jan starts talking, oh yeah, my daughter, this, that, and the other. I was like, Jan, what's your daughter's name? And she goes, oh, Laura. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's right, I know Laura. So, little flashback. Laura used to be, sorry if I'm breaking news for anyone. Can I go ahead and say it? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, so Laura used to be the Platte County MU Extensions field rep, I guess you could say. And so she was impactful in my life growing up in high school. Her MU Extensions leadership program definitely forged some character traits and really some opportunities for me that I'm thankful for today. I remember my first day working for Congressman Sam Graves' office, and her office was right down the hall, and I went and I said, hey Laura, it's me. Do you remember me? And I had a beard at that point, and I had gained like 30 pounds, so she was like, you look familiar. I was like, I'm from Platte County, but thanks to you, I'm here today. And so that was a lot of fun. I have Skylar, one of my other podcast co-hosts here. And like I said, I pointed out a couple, but it's important to realize that every single one of you provides value to this room. Everyone could have gotten up here and spoke today, and I really do believe that. I think there's advice, insight, experiences that you all can talk about. And for some of the younger ones here, maybe you're here with your mom, maybe you're here with your grandmother or your aunt or your neighbor that you see sitting across the room, chat with them. Like I said, my final call to action is to make sure that, I want you all to understand that you value. You all provide value to this. This event wouldn't be able to go on if it wasn't for you as well. So no matter what roles you've had, token or not, no matter where you were chosen in the draft, or even in life, no matter what your upbringing is, or was, or whatever the circumstances that you're in, it's important to know that no one can compete at being you with you. And I say that, think about that. No one can compete with you at being you. I said that backwards the first time. Let me repeat that. No one can compete with you at being you. So Lavelle, you're your own person, which means only you can bring out the best in you, and you know what is the best in you. Shaley, and I'm using names that I know here, but Shaley, another perfect example. She knows what she's capable of. It may take a couple other people to unlock some capabilities, but she is the one that is only ever going to compete with herself. You don't have to look at yourself and look at someone else and say, I'm never going to be better than them. If you're thinking it is an extension of you, and if what you're building is a product of your own genius, you will be in a league of your own, hands down. But if you suppress yourself, your wisdom will be lost to both you and to the world. There are 10 things that I started doing when I joined Kansas City Fashion Week, and I challenge you to do these things, as it's forever changed my life. Be on time, be honest, have a positive attitude, be committed, be passionate, have good body language, believe in yourself, be coachable, be prepared, and have a strong work ethic. These 10 pillars are pillars that I live by. And thanks to that, like I said, I've had opportunities to have meals with NFL front office executives. I've had the opportunity to sit down and talk with brilliant leaders from the Council of Fashion Designers of America, specifically Cassandra Dix, who is the president of CFDA. And she's breaking barriers as being one of the first African-American presidents of the CFDA. The world is your runway. It's time for you to step up onto it and be the designer to create the life you want to live. You are the model as well when you step up on that runway. That's your opportunity to live the life you want to live. You're also the photographer. You're the photographer to capture your own story and to ensure that everyone else sees what you are doing and how you are doing it. Don't let those things slip away. Know that you're in control of your destiny. You're in control of how you will move forward. And as I was talking to Lavelle and closing here in the lobby, we both came to the same conclusion. This is a huge opportunity, and this is a huge, huge event for the rural community to show that the fashion community doesn't just have to be in New York City. It doesn't just have to be in Los Angeles, California. It doesn't just have to be in Miami. It doesn't just have to be in Kansas City. It can be in Holt. It can be in Plattsburg. It can be in Lathrop. It can be in Lawson. And I'm not even going to ask this silly question, but who's all wearing clothes right now? We all are. I hope. But seriously, you're all part of the fashion industry. You're all supporting something, or you're all wearing something for a reason. Maybe it just matches, or maybe you look good in it, but that's your style, that's your brand. Keep doing it. Because it's important that these events and the empowerment and the education and the tips that you take away from the breakout speakers today, our keynote speakers today, will help bring back the fashion industry here in the region for all ages, for all races, for all genders, and as Lavelle and I were saying, for all sizes. It's time to ensure that the underserved and the underrepresented individuals and communities in our area have the opportunity to have the same platform as LA and New York City, and this is an amazing opportunity. And again, thank you all for being here. Thank you to the ladies who planned this. Thank you all who bought a ticket. It's been a great event, and we're only halfway done. And with that, I'm done.